Hello everyone, here we are in our second class. Today we will produce the app login activity. Basically, this lesson will be divided into three parts. At first, I will teach you how to develop the layout of this activity that should look like this. Here you can see that the user can log in using social media or even the account they have registered in the app. In the second moment of this lesson, I'll teach you how to integrate the login feature provided by Barber app to the layout of your app. And in the third part, I'll teach you how to integrate the reset password feature into the app. With this, we'll finish this lesson. Okay, so let's start. To begin developing the layout of the login activity, we should create an empty activity. To do so, it's really simple. We should go to Android and then app. We should find the Java folder, and at the first folder we have to click with the right button, select new, find activity on the bottom, and then click on empty activity. Okay, now we should give this activity a name. I'll call it login activity, and it's really cool to create an activity like this because Android Studio will create the Java class for this activity. It will declare this activity on the manifest, and also will create a layout file for this activity, so everything should be working fine after I click on next. So now you can see that the login activity, the Java class for it has been created, and I'm going to find the layout file for this. So I'm going to set Android app, res layout, and now you can see the layout for the login activity. And it has like two pages here, the design where you can see a preview of the layout, as it has nothing, it's empty. And also you can see the text part where we can adjust our layout more precisely. So we will start by changing this constraint layout to scroll view. There's a view group that allows the view to be scrolled, so it will adjust better to the many different sizes that Android devices have. And now that we have our scroll view, I'll start inserting the items to our layout. So first I will add the black wood background, and to do so I'm going to search the file. With that, then I'll copy it and I'll find the drawable folder that is on Android Studio. I'm going to click with the right button and I'll press paste. Then it's just to click OK, and the background will be added to my project as long as I give it a name. So background underline wood, it's okay. And now it's on my project, so I'll call it here at the scroll view as the background. So I'm going to type Android background and refer to the drawable. So that's it. Now I have the black wood background at my scroll view. Okay, now we can see that I have to add this beautiful logo for our barber shop. To align our layout the way we want, I will basically use two types of layouts, the linear and the relative layout. If you never worked with web layout development, I'll try to explain what linear and relative layout means in an easy way. Basically, in a linear layout, like the name suggests, every layout component is displayed one after the other in a line, either horizontally or vertically. And this behavior is set with Android orientation attribute for this layout. In a relative layout, every element arranges itself relative to other elements. So with a relative layout, you can use commands like below, above, right, and left to arrange the component's position. So to align all the items of our layout inside the scroll view, I'll place a linear layout. I'll set its width to match its parent and its height to wrap the content that the layout has. And I will also say that the orientation of this layout is vertical because that's how I want it to look like. So, and now inside this linear layout, I'll start placing the items, the texts and the images. And the first attribute I will give to this layout is an image view, that is the top logo that I just said I would put in the layout. So I'll use the image view attribute. I'll set its width to wrap its content. The height I will use only 120 dp. And I will also set the margins of this image. So to do that, I will use the layout margin top, bottom, left, and right. And I think 25 dp it's fine, it's a good margin. And to actually insert the image, I have to use this attribute that is called src compact. So basically, to add the top image, I will do the same thing I did to add the background. So I'm going to find the file with the image, I'll copy it and paste it on the drawable folder. And after that, I will refer to it on this method for image view, that is src compact. Okay, now if we go to our design, we hope everything is working fine. So we have the background that I already pasted and our top logo. So we are moving on, and now I'm going to put the white background below the top image. And to do this, I'll have to use a relative layout to make a distance from the top of the layout. And this relative layout, I'll set its part of always match parent, and its height, I'm going to put a height that I think it's big enough to contain the logo image, and I put like 400 dp. I think that's fine. Now I'm going to place inside this relative layout another linear layout to make the rest of the components of this layout oriented vertically. And on this layout, I'll place the background, the white one. So everything's always the same. I'm going to copy this file, paste on the drawable folder, and refer to it on the XML file. Now I'll start putting the text, like the login text, as it's shown here. To do that, I will use a text view. There's the attribute for text from the layout. Here we will also use some margins, like top margin and bottom margin, to make everything look the way we want. And here we will also use margins for the left and the right sides. Actually, the name of this margin, it changes according to the API of the device. So I'm going to use margin start and margin left, that are the same things but works for two different types of devices, and also the margin ends or margin right, but it's the same thing. It's margin to the left and margin to the right. Okay, I'm going to set the text size to 400 sp. I think it's good. It's not too big and not too small. I'm going to use gravity to center the text horizontally. So it's just right Android gravity and center horizontal, and it will makes it center. And I'll set the text. Well, to set texts on layout, I encourage you to write everything on the strings XML file. So if you have to change the language of your app, it's going to be really easier. Don't start writing text directly on the layout, or everything will be harder to change if you need to change. So all you have to do is, every time you're going to use a string on a layout, you declare it here in this file that it's on. If you search for the folder, it's on Android app res values strings XML file. So you just type string name, you give a keyword, and then you write the string you want. So anytime you want to change, for example, you want to change login for another word, it's easier. You just go this string XML file and change it. So it's really better for you to do this, and it's good practice. So I would just write Android text, and I'm going to refer to this string And now we should see that the strings look fine. It's written login and everything. But of course we want to make this design even better, so I'm going to change the text color. I will use an specific hexadecimal code to change the color. You can find this on the internet. And I will also change the font of this, and I will add a font family for this. Actually, I will add 3 font families. So to do this, it's really simple. It's basically the same thing to add images. So I'm going to look for the font. It's Roboto, the name of it. I found the 3 files, TTF files, that refer to these letters. I'm going to click here, App Res, and I'm going to click with the right button, and I'm going to paste it. I'll specify the path with this, but I will add the font part for this path for it to create a folder with the fonts. And now I'm able to create a font resource file. And to do so, I click here with the right button on the font folder. I write the file name as fonts. And now I will declare the fonts I added. So to do this, I write font, and I'll say that the font style is normal because all of them, they aren't italic or anything. I'll set the font weight and I'll refer to its name. And basically that's it. I'll do this for the other 2 fonts, and our font family will be declared, and now I will be able to call it on the layout file. So here on the text view, on the font family, I refer to Roboto. I use the light one, and now you can see that it has changed a little bit, the color and the font. And now I'm going to look what I have to do next. So I see that there are the buttons for the social media login that I have to add. So I'm going to use 2 images views, but I'll have to use another linear layout if I want to do this alignment. But I'll have to use another linear layout because I want to align them horizontally. And the linear layout I am in right now, it aligns things on vertical way. So I'm going to open here another linear layout, set its orientation to horizontal, and set its gravity to center horizontal as well, to make our buttons center horizontally. I'll add some margins, as I've done before. And now inside this linear layout, I'll place our 2 buttons. I'll set the first image view with a predefined width and height that is 55 dp. Okay, now I'm going to use something that I didn't use yet, that it's called Android ID. So if you want a button or an image or anything to have a behavior in your Java class, you have to refer to these components of the layout in the Java class. And for the Java class to understand that this is the component you are talking about, you have to give it a name. So this is the ID. This is the ID of the ID. So here I'm going to call the first image the Facebook button, because it is the Facebook button. And now to call the image, I'm going to use src attribute, and I will do the same thing I did to import to the project the background and the logo. I'm just going to copy this image and I'm going to paste on the drawable folder. I will look at the name, it's okay, and then I'm going to click on OK. Now I can refer to this image here, and basically I'll do the same with the Twitter button. I'll just copy this code and paste it here. I'm just going to change the ID, and of course I will refer to the Twitter button, so I'm going to add it as well on the drawable folder. And here I have to do one thing more, because if I don't give a margin on the left on the Twitter button, the two buttons, like the Facebook and the Twitter button, they will be right next to each other. They won't have any space between them. So basically, to make it right, I will add some margins to the second image view. Okay, now you can see that our buttons look just like what we want. I'm going to put this division that says that you can log in one way or in other. So I'm just going to add this image view. Okay, now we have to do these two boxes where people will fill in its username or password. Okay, so now we want to do these rectangles here. There are some shapes that have inside what we call edit texts. Edit texts are basically a type of text that we use in the layout where the user can type things. Here, for example, the username and the password. And I'm going to use a relative layout to do this easily. Basically, I can't use a linear layout in an easy way, because if I try to use the rectangle and then the edit text with a linear layout, probably what I will get is the rectangle above and the edit text below. And what I want is the edit text inside the rectangle. So I'm going to use a relative layout with a background that it's going to be the shape, the rectangle shape, and inside this relative layout that will be the rectangle, I will place the edit text. I think this is the easiest way to do this, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to declare here the relative layout. It's wide of height. I'll make some margins for the edit text to be inside but not be all the rectangle. And to do the rectangle, I will use a background on the relative layout. And I will declare this shape, the rectangle shape, as a drawable, but an XML file drawable. I'll teach you how to do this. So basically, I'll find the drawable folder, and I'm going to click on it with the right button. And here on New, I saw the drawable file. So I'm going to give it a name. I'll say it button border. I'll say this is the shape I'm going to do, and I'm going to change here selector for shape, and then we will start making a shape. So I'm going to declare this shape as a rectangle, and now I'm going to give this rectangle some corners, rounded corners. So I'm going to set its radius. I think 3dp is fine. It's not too rectangle, not too rounded. Okay, and then I will declare a stroke with a width that I think it's fine, that it's 5px, and I'll set its color. Hexadecimal code for black, it's 000, so that's what I'm going to use. And I think that's it. We have our shape. I'm going to refer to it here. And inside this relative layout, I'm going to insert the edit text. And this edit text, I have to say its ID to refer to it on the Java class. That's very important. So I'm going to call it username and password, because these are the places where the user will write the username and the password. I will use the gravity to center the edit text inside the rectangle. So I'm going to use center vertical. I'm going to set some margins to the edit text. And I'm going to use something that I didn't use it before, that is called hint. So whenever you have an edit text, it's cool to have a hint for the person to know what he or she should write on the edit text. So for example, here the hint is the username, because that's the place where the user should write the username. So after hint, you just refer to the word that is the hint. I'm going to open the string XML file to declare the strings, username and password, and then I'm going to use it on the hint, and then I'm going to refer it on the layout file, and then I'm going to refer to it on the edit text. And then I'm going to use these strings I just declared on the hint. You can also set text color for the hint. For example, I'm going to use some light gray as the color of the hint, and I'll make some other adjustments like text size and text font and text color, in the case like the hint has a color and when the user writes it has another color. You can do this by declaring the text color hint and the text color for the text. And I'm also going to change the font family. I will use Robot to regular. So here you can see that our box is here, the edit text is here, everything's just look the way we want. To do the other edit text, I'll just copy this relative layout and paste it because it's really similar. I'm just going to adjust the margins and I'll change the ID of the edit text, but everything will look pretty the same. I'll also change the text of the hint. Now you can see that we have our two edit text boxes, and what's missing is the login button and the reset your password text. So I'm going to do the button. To declare a button, we just use the button attribute. That's really simple. I'll set it wide as hard as I've done with everything I declared on this layout file. I'll give this button an ID because every time a user clicks on it, the Java class will have to check if the login is okay and everything. So I'm going to call it login button. I'll set its margins. I'll set its gravity to center, to actually center the button on the layout. I'll set the text size of the text that is written on the button to 14 SB and its text color. So this button is going to be black, so the text color white makes a good contrast, and the hexadecimal code for white is FFFFF, so I'm going to use it. Font family, I think Robot to medium is good. And for its text, I'm going to use the login text. And now you can see a button, but it's in gray because we didn't set the color of the button and its shape. So to make the button exactly as we want, I'll use basically the same idea of the rectangle shape that we used on the edit text. So I'm going to do the exactly same shape, but I'm going to give it a solid color, a black solid color. So I'm going to find the drawable folder. I'm going to click with the right button, new, drawable file resource, and then I'm going to give it a name. I'll call it button black, not button border. And I'm going to copy the button border lines and paste it here, and it's going to be exactly the same, but I'm going to give it a solid color using the solid attribute. And and here I write the color that I want the shape to be filled with, and I'm going to use black, so it's 000, so it's 0000000. And now I can call this shape here as a background for the button, and the button will look as black as I wanted with the shape I wanted. Now if we go to design, oh, it's looking pretty, and it's almost the layout we want. We're almost finishing. We just need the reset your password text for people to be able to reset their passwords when they forget it. So I'm going to add here a text field for the reset your password. I'm going to give it an ID because here, when the user clicks on the reset your password, the Java class will have to redirect the person to reset its password. So it's really important to the Java class to know this element of the layout. I'm also going to set some margins as I've done with all the layouts, which will look good. And I'll make some adjustments as the text color, the text size, the text font. We'll also center the text field horizontally. And I'll declare the text of this text field, that is the reset password that I already declared on the strings XML file. And ta-da! That's our finished layout. It looks beautiful. It is minimalistic and it has all its elements. And it has all the elements that it's needed for a login activity. It's black and white, but it's really beautiful. And you know, now we took like half an hour to do this layout. But the next layouts will be a little bit easier because you will already know what is like a linear layout, a relative layout. I won't have to explain it to you, and we will use a lot of copy and paste for the attributes like margin and everything, so we won't have to type everything. You know how to make a shape and how to upload an image in a font and everything. So I think the next ones will be easier, and I really hope you enjoyed and understand it. And now let's make the login activity Java class work with this layout.